Hello, guys. Slightly unexpected stream today, a bit unexpected, but I decided that first of all, I had an idea of doing that anyway, but the main reason is that I needed to inform you that currently my both courses are on sale. So if you ever wanted to purchase one of them, then um, this is the best moment to do that because they go under the best price. And so this is what you can do right now. They will be on sale till the end of the week, I believe. So don't miss your chance. While today I'm gonna um, I'm gonna play some games. I think I will. I think I have time to play like maybe 6 rapid games. So let's go here and let's go here and play let's play some rapid games. I will try to explain as much as I can, and maybe I'll play like from 4 to 6 games depending on how it will go, and also depending on how much I will explain after the game. I will mainly try to explain most important things during the game, so most likely there will be no need to explain anything after the game. Also, as you probably hear, I'm a bit sick, so but like looks like I'm more or less okay, but a little bit sick. So let's see if I will find anybody to play with. I don't really understand what is the problem. Uh, this is quite weird to wait so long. Of course, I have like high rating in Rapid 2869, but I mean overall it's not like shouldn't be a big deal to like to find an opponent, like because it could be somebody 2400, somebody like even 2300, 2500, whatever. Well, I'm afraid 1938 is not. Of course, you can challenge, but if your rating is low, then unfortunately, it's not so interesting to play, since it's not playing against viewers. It is about playing some instructive games. However, if however, if like let's say I'll wait 1-2 more minutes. Okay, 23:30, let's play. So I'm gonna play e4. Okay, I need to adjust the board. Okay, now I'm almost okay. One more thing to correct is this one. Okay, so Sicilian defense. Sicilian defense, and let's say usually I recommend to go for open position. So for example, playing d4. The problem with Sicilian defense, there might be too many options. So that's why let's go for c3. But still, like eventually we would like to get an open position. It just we kind of postpone that. h3. h3 is mainly about preventing the bishop going out to g4. And the pawn was, of course, poisoned because of queen a4 check. Now let's go for d4. It is a pawn sacrifice, so like maybe, for example, bishop d3 was a safer move. Bishop d3, then the bishop would move to c2, and at some point d4. I don't really know who of you has challenged me, so I don't want to say too much about, because obviously it was not let's say my open challenge was accepted by someone, but I had a few challenges and I have accepted one of them, and so the point is that like it might be one of you, so I don't want to say too much. So I say like something enough at the moment. Maybe here black should play g6, bishop g7, castling would be a good way for black to develop pieces and to organize the play. Are you asking me, or like what is Ponziani? Of course I see the chat, but I don't understand what's the point of Ponziani. If like Ponziani is something, I believe it's something related to Italian game rather than to Sicilian. Okay, so of course g6, bishop g7, it was a joke. I hope you guys understood that. However, like g6, bishop g7 is not a terrible way of playing for black, but of course the critical move was knight e4. Knight e4, and then if white plays d5, there is maybe queen a5 check, and after knight c3 there are some complications with the piece sacrifice. After e6, white has a very pleasant position. I have two pawns in the center, and I have more space. The only thing I need is to develop my pieces, and this is what I do quite quickly by playing bishop d3 and castling short. These moves I made without any thinking. Bishop d3, castling short looks quite natural. So now I have 4 pieces to develop. This is my default option, and I could develop one of them, or I could do something, let's say, more aggressive like d5 or e5. I don't think I'm ready for d5 and e5. That's why, like, I would consider playing bishop f4 or bishop g5. Like queen e2 makes sense, rook e1 makes sense. There is an open c file, so I could play on the open c file, or I can ignore that and play in rook d1, rook e1, aiming for the play, aiming for the play in the center. So let's play, for example, most likely black is going to play b5, something like bishop b7. Let's play queen e2. While bishop f4, bishop g5, rook e1 would be everything, like everything would be okay. I'm from Russia, currently living in Kazakhstan. So queen e2 was like had an interesting idea, like to meet b5 with counter-attack in the center, and then maybe the best move for black would be knight d5, but then maybe, let's say, if b5, e5, at least having queen e4 is an idea of double attack. So probably that's why black played e5. So here there are 2 options, obviously 3 options. I can close the position, I can open the position, or I can keep the tension. And usually the engine prefers to play d5. I'm not so sure about d5 specifically in this position with my queen on e2, because like knight d4 looks a little bit annoying, because after knight d4, e d4, I don't have a great square for the knight. So that's why bishop e3 looks interesting. But I will go even in an easier way. However, will I? Actually, let's play bishop e3. Let's keep the tension for a while. I thought of playing d5, d5, and then bishop g5, which would be a simple way of playing chess, a good way, maybe not pretending for too much, but having a better position, of course. I think I'm explaining quite like in details how I come up with some moves. So unless it's some specific question, I just explain what I do, and that's it. With queen e2, I came up because I had 4 undeveloped pieces and I needed to develop one of them. And I would say this is not the middle game yet. In my opinion, the middle game stage, not in my opinion, but like to make it easier for yourself, the middle game stage, or let's say the opening stage, ends when we have developed all of the pieces. Of course, sometimes we leave 1-2 pieces undeveloped, and then we, let's say, maybe develop them later, and then maybe we could say that we are already in the middle game stage. But overall, it is an easy way to navigate. Let's take For now, my plan, I have 2 rooks left, and all I need to do is to develop them, like probably in the center. I'm gonna like not skip. I'm gonna ignore the C file. And actually, even now, like you see, of course, I can calculate. Let's say ed5, knight d5. There is an idea of queen h5, but unfortunately knight f6. I have ed5, knight d5, bishop takes h7, king h7, queen h5, king g8, queen takes d5, or knight takes d5, winning a pawn, which is not bad. And actually it makes sense. However, rook a d1 would be a decent move, a very good move. Let's say d4, knight e4, knight e4, bishop e4. You see, most of my pieces are developed, so I'm ready for the play in the center. So what about e d5? Do I really go for that? Or e d5, knight d5, bishop takes, queen there, knight d5. Let's go. But rook a d1 would be good enough. So if you don't know what to do or you are not sure, then if you still have some pieces to develop, it's always a good idea to develop one of them. Yeah, I thought about that only once I played e d5, that he's not obliged to take. However, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I can still develop my pieces. And I can play, for example, rook d1. Not even calculating anything. Or maybe almost not calculating anything. But now I think e d5 was not a good idea. It was better to play rook d1 right away. Okay, so what do we have here? Probably I need to take on d5 or queen d5. I thought he's gonna take with the knight. Okay, so now I have a natural move, bishop c4, attacking the queen, asking where it would like to go. And also the bishop is, I think, better placed on c4, aiming at f7, putting more pressure on the king. For black, there are some inconveniences. One of them is development of the c8 bishop, because like you see, those squares are not available for the bishop, while d7 is like too passive. Like maybe b5, bishop b7, but then there will be too many weak squares for black. At the same time, I could ignore his moves, like I could say I don't really care what your move is. I can just do, like, I can just develop my rook once again. However, rook e1 here, bishop b4 is not so great. Knight f3 maybe makes sense in terms of, like, the queen on e5 is actually not so bad for black. Or bishop d6 might be an idea, but then I have knight f3. Let's play knight f3 right away, asking the queen for his ID, if he has any ID on him. And here I like the idea of, unless bishop takes h3, something to worry about. I like the idea. Oh, actually I like a new idea, rook d4. And like maybe playing rook h4, disturbing the queen even more, and also securing my king a little bit. At the same time, I might double my rooks on the d file. Doesn't look like a good idea. Too many loose pieces. Like maybe the guy could hold it, like maybe I don't have anything right here right now. Like knight d4 looks interesting, bishop d3 looks interesting. Probably let's go for knight, like bishop d3 or knight d4. Bishop d3, probably queen d5. Let's go for knight d4. Looks interesting, looks reasonable. And next move I will play bishop d3. Also, like you see, I kind of initiated some active play because I was ahead in development. Even leaving the bishop here is not a bad idea, but now, like, maybe I have some ideas of taking on h7, or also like bishop f5 or knight f5. I don't think there is any problem for my rook staying under the bishop. Unfortunately, the only issue about that bishop is that I don't have bishop h7, knight h7, queen h5, which would be a win, an instant win for me, but unfortunately the bishop aim would take my rook. So how about, oh, bishop g5 might be queen d5. Yeah, not simple, not so simple things are here. But still, what if I play bishop g5? Because if queen d5, I actually have knight f3, defending the bishop and defending the pawn on g2. And now it's already the pawn on h7 is hanging, the bishop on e7 is hanging. I have an idea of bishop takes f6 and taking on h7. I have an idea of maybe taking on f6 and playing bishop a4. But then there is queen e6. And even I have an idea of returning my rook back to d4. Of course, black has a move, not this one, I thought. I thought about playing something like rook e8, maybe. This one looks like a losing move. What if I take here? It's actually it makes sense to play against lower rated players, because in this case it is more instructive. Yeah, because okay, it looks like I need to bring my bishop back. Let's bring my bishop back to e3, just in case. This is not a big deal. I can just wait. Let's play a3, so queen a2. Of course, I would prefer to have a better pawn structure, but we have what we have. Let's play bishop b1. Maybe he will be able to put some pressure on the e3 pawn, and so I would say maybe the game overall, I think it was enough instructive in the opening stage, but maybe at some point I had a better move. Maybe I had like an instant win or something like that. But even like it's now, like, looks good enough for me. Okay, it's like not too much time, so let's just play faster and safer. So it's now about flagging. It was definitely a better way of playing for me, but I didn't do that. Okay, for black, let's play something. Yeah, let's play e5, something solid. Petrov defense, something solid for black. Like e d6, not a good idea. Of course, like knight d2 or bishop d3. That was right. After e d6, in fact, after bishop d6, I'm the one, like I'm playing black, but I'm the one who is one tempo up. However, maybe after bishop d3, I have to do something about that. Let's try knight c5. I don't want to play knight f6 because in this case it would be like a castle and white will be a tempo up. After knight c5, I'm kind of asking a question about this bishop because like maybe I'm gonna take it. Like it was not really, I don't think it was need for white to play bishop e2. Maybe castle and short would be better. Because now I'm for sure like a tempo up. It's not like the position is quite open, so it's good. At the same time, I wouldn't say it's like a big, I wouldn't say that it is a big achievement. Yeah, like, but okay, the plan is still the same. We just develop pieces. Like I still have 4 pieces waiting in the queue to be developed. What do you think about e4, e5, queen h5? Does GM study this stuff? No, GMs, I don't think. At least I haven't ever studied things like that. Bishop f5, developing the bishop. Maybe bishop g4 was also possible. So white wants to play knight a3 or knight b5. Probably one of those moves. Let's develop the rook. Rook e8. I'm very loyal to my not loyal, but what is the word? Maybe loyal, very loyal to my like straight line. Just develop pieces. And here it was interesting. I thought like maybe I have rook takes e2. I saw knight b5 and I thought that rook takes e2 might be interesting. At least I don't see why not. So the point is all about, like you see, by playing rook e8, I put some pressure on the bishop. The bishop is unprotected now, so this is something white should keep in mind. After knight b5, rook takes e2. Yeah, of course, if queen e2, there is bishop d3 taking the knight. But after knight d6, my rook is hanging, my bishop is hanging. However, I have a move. So now the knight on d6 is hanging. My bishop on d3 is defended by the knight on c5. The knight is actually even trapped. Ah, this is a funny move. This is a funny move, but I expected something like b4, even giving up some material, maybe after takes. Because after knight f5, I think I could play... I could move my rook away. But yeah, so obviously the point is that bishop f5, queen takes e2. Even there, everything is more or less okay for me. I could move my bishop back to d3 and exchange the pieces. But I think it would be better for me to play something like rook. On e6 it will be under some potential attacks. Yeah, so let's play all the way back to e8. Cats play chess very well. Hello. So now the bishop, the knight on f5 is hanging, and the rook on f1 is also hanging. And I don't really see a solution for white. So bishop is attacking my knight. I can take on f1. See no problem about doing that. Let's take, winning the exchange. And maybe probably after the games, like maybe I will play 2 or 4 more games, and after that I will get back to the games, like maybe showing the mistakes. But overall, yes, what I can say right here, right now, is that e6 is the first mistake. Bishop e2 is the second mistake. Like I would consider for white either castling or maybe bishop g5. Bishop e2 is wasting of time. c3 is also wasting of time. And you see, like I'm playing black, but I have developed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. White has developed 1, 2, 3 pieces. So here I thought I could go either for queen d5, attacking the knight and defending my knight at the same time, or queen d3 also looks interesting in terms of exchanging the queens. The only thing is that after queen d3 there is knight takes g7. Knight takes g7, like queen f1, rook f1, king g7, bishop takes c5, and I give up one pawn. For nothing, in fact. Almost for nothing. for a chance to change the queens. So I could play queen d3, maybe after knight g7, queen f1, let's say king f1, king g7, bishop c5. We might say that this is a technical position and should be winning. Husan boy, please stop spamming. Yes, like I think like if you read the chat, like too many messages by you, too many messages that kind of like a little bit misplaced. I'm very tolerant to the chat, but when something is becoming annoying, like I don't see the point to. If you just ask random questions, not related, and also like I think I have explained everything. Yeah, so of course for white it would be better to go for knight takes g7, king takes g7, bishop c5, queen f1, king f1, at least having one pawn for the exchange, while this position is obviously, let's develop the rook, obviously lost for white. The only thing left is to show some technique. Hi Megalodon, yeah, you're welcome, thank you. Yeah, I need like I'm just too lazy to go to Twitch and to like to have it like, but I plan to make a stream there that I moved to YouTube, because you know on Twitch like I don't get any benefits. On YouTube it is at least about growing up the channel, while on Twitch like I cannot even withdraw money, so it doesn't make any sense. Basically, it would be good for black to exchange all of the pieces and leaving the rook against knight or against bishop. For white, the only acceptable outcome is to have the knight against the rook or the bishop against the rook, but without a single pawn on the board. Yeah, because in this case, this is a theoretical draw. But here it's like there is no single chance for white to get there. H5 was not a bad idea, by the way. Oh, okay, actually I blundered a pawn. And I could even blunder a bit more. If I play a rook e4, there is bishop c7, and then next move knight d6. So I don't really like this move, but probably I need to go for it. Oh, actually I could play a rook d5. Now rook d5 makes perfect sense. Yeah, I give up one pawn, but in exchange for that, I exchange the rooks, which is not the best offer, but it's more or less okay. I will exchange the rooks and then slowly win the game. If white plays king e2, avoiding that, I play rook d7. defending the pawn. No, it's actually like for all the time I was streaming, like maybe for like what for 2 or 3 years. It's only about like I don't remember how much, but maybe like something like $500 or $600. Yes, they're on sale for Black Friday, so it's like really they give the best price as far as I see it. It's $90 for video and like something like 20 for book version. And this is probably the last time when it makes sense to purchase at least the first course, because I'm very close to finish with my third course, and I think it will be published something like in maybe February. A hard one. Actually, he can go for knight f5. Let's go back. I'm very close to finish the text part, and then probably recording will be done in January. So maybe February or March. And that course will be a good replacement for my first course. Collins, I don't know, like maybe you could, maybe not. We'll see. Ah, the theme, okay. Uh, Is my courses for advanced players? I'm studying to be FM. It depends on what your level is, because yes, for like the problem is that I I work with some 2100, 2200 players, and they are still like they don't regularly do some basic things. And always when I see that, I have a like I think that my courses could be useful for them as well. Theme of the third course is actually something complicated. There is no title yet. They are still thinking. They're still thinking about the title, but the point is that it's kind of like maybe prequel to my first course. Maybe, by the way, f4 is an interesting idea for white, slightly missed by me. If I go for rook d3, king g2, rook f4, knight e5, attacking my rook, I have rook d2. That should be okay. Here it also should be fine. Maybe it's not really fine. Maybe maybe what I did is a like small inaccuracy. Because now I see that what I plan to do is actually looks like a blunder. But actually I have rook takes h4. Is it a good idea to go for rook h4? However, like maybe I would have too many hanging rooks. All this, of course, was not really necessary, and now it's about flagging. So I will finish that point about my third course a bit later. Collins, like I make it's not playing with viewers or I make an open challenge. If there will be nobody to play with, like maybe in next 2-3 minutes, then I will accept your challenge. So the third course is about, like, develop, improve, advance. Joined 6 days ago. No, thank you. So, like, kind of, I took some isolated parts of my first course, like development, improvement, advancement, explained everything, and here we go. So I explained like why we develop pieces, what we do with like what we usually do with knights, bishops, rooks, especially rooks and queens, because knights and bishop obviously we know from the very beginning usually. So what we do with rook, what we do with queen, what is last piece development is about, then what our ways to improve their pieces, and then how we advance, and also some situations when we could ignore all that by by attacking the opponent like maybe earlier than we have developed everything. If the first course in terms of that was kind of throwing a student into the water and they would learn how to swim themselves, then this time I explained every single movement. I like support and go with them, and only once they know something they go to like a small swimming pool first, then we learn something else, then one more swimming pool, then we learn once again, then one more swimming pool, and in the end we have a big water. Something like that. Okay, Colin, let's play, especially since it is a casual game. So I think like since it is a casual game, I can explain everything, not worrying about losing the game. So let's play e5 once again. And let's play knight f6. Petrov defense. For somebody, it is too boring. But at the same time, sometimes we could do that. Like we neutralize the opponent's pressure and then we play for a win. No, I wouldn't say it's aimed at lower levels. I think it's kind of like maybe like still like it is definitely easier than the second course, and I think it is a bit easier than the first course because you know there will be topics, let's say 10, 15 puzzles on this topic, then next topic 10, 15 puzzles, next topic 10, 15 puzzles, then after let's say 7, 8 topics there is a mix zone with 15, 20 puzzles, so like to see how you do all together. Like this is about development, then next stage is direction, so why do we go, where do we go, 7, 8 topics, then mixed zone, and so on. So okay, here we go. Let's pay attention. Let's play h6. This is not probably you cannot hear that by my neighbors like build something, or I don't know, doing some something stupid, idiots. Okay, let's castle, and most likely we're gonna get a position with opposite side castling. And if we get a position with opposite side castling, it means we are looking for the way to attack the opponent's king, for example, like a6, b5, then b4, a5, and so on. And depending on the specific position, we sometimes still develop our pieces, sometimes we don't do that. For example, this is one of the topics for direction, for the chapter on direction. This one was expected. Yeah, here we play knight d7, kind of defending the knight. Knight e3, I don't like this move because it looks like wasting of time. It would be even better to do anything, let's say playing bishop d3, developing a bishop, like maybe taking on f6 is too early. White could even wait a little bit. Bishop d3 looks quite natural, or maybe even something like g4. G4 doesn't look right, however, but at least bishop d3, developing the bishop. Knight e3 just doesn't look right. Like maybe yes, maybe it is kind of supporting g4, but at the same time it is wasting of time. And also, let's say if g4, then I have bishop b7 aiming at the knight on f3, and now white played bishop d3. But why wasting time, like knight c3, d5, and then to e3? So the third course is kind of like a very good foundation. At the same time, could be useful for, like, let's say up to 2000. However, I would even say that for somebody 21, 2200, because from what I see in like students games, like some players with 2000, 2100, their foundation is not so good. So white play rook g1, but at the same time you see g4 is not really an option because the knight would be hanging. And maybe I can even attack the center with c5. Looks like not a bad idea. Usually we push those two pawns, but you see it would take too much time for me. Also, there is no convenient way to do that, yeah, because b4 they could take, a5 they could take that pawn, so c5 looks quite reasonable. The only thing I'm little bit afraid about is some tension on the d file and this pin. But I don't think there is a way for white to use that, so it looks like everything is okay for me. And somehow it feels that black is simply better because, like you see, white's play is still on the very low start, while I have an idea of c4. Overall, I can move my queen to b6 and even playing through the center, especially since the center is open, so maybe it is now even less about attacking the opponent's king, but it's about combining those two things. Hello, CB. Jay, of course you can challenge me, but it doesn't mean I accept your challenge. Okay, so knight g4. The only thing I have actually missed is that knight g4. I saw this move, of course, but I missed that white would attack the pawn on h6. I didn't see that. And knight h6 is, of course, something to keep in mind, like as a threat. g5. Looks a little bit risky, little bit. Maybe it is okay, but definitely playing g5, I need to calculate something. Let's say g5. Knight f6, of course, is not a problem for me. Actually, after g5, white is kind of forced to go for some sacrifice, like maybe knight g5 or bishop takes g5. So let's say g5, bishop takes, pawn takes. Knight g5 is not a problem. I take his knight on g4, so it should be queen g5. I go for knight g4 there. That one looks okay. How about g5, knight take g5? H take g5. Let's go for g5. Like, maybe it's not a good idea, and maybe it was better for me to play like something like king h7. But let's go for g5. At least I don't see a, let's say, a way for white to, like, maybe there is a way. It's like a tiny boundary between like there is and there is no. Yeah, it covers a very, like, just you, as you wrote, a variety of fundamental topics with fewer puzzles for each. And then after 7-8 topics, there is a mixed zone. So first you kind of learn, and then you you test yourself. You test yourself to, like, to see how well you got it. Now we take on g4, and after queen g4 I have a simple move. Actually, I have several options, of course, like maybe knight f6 is even possible, but I think I shouldn't be greedy here, and maybe the best move to play queen f6, even like giving up the knight on d7, but the point is that queen b2 is coming. I mean, of course, I don't really want to give up my pieces, but why not? Yeah, I go for queen f6 because actually I have found something else. Because after queen d7, queen b2, king d2, I have a very nice move, rook e8, or maybe the other rook, cutting off the way for the king and threatening like bishops, threatening there like queen c3 or bishop c3 or bishop h6 with some kind of checkmates. So queen f6 is an easy, maybe an easy win for black. Jay Anand, please no moves in chat, only after they have been played. Yeah, c3, of course, defending against queen b2, but at the same time, like that's it. This is the end, right? There is nothing. There is nothing white could create on the king side. Of course, I could have played knight d5, but at the same time, I would say that you see, white played knight g4 not because of a great situation for them. Yeah, because it already looks like something is wrong. Like black has a very simple play. White's pieces are misplaced, and here once again I would mention the same thing I have already told you, like knight d5. Knight d5 itself is okay, but after knight d7, white should wait and take on f6 at some point, like bishop d3, maybe c6, knight takes on f6. That would be quite natural. This is a funny one. Okay, let's just take it. Let's take it. Let's take that one. And let's go for rook d8. Bishop f3 kind of helps white to activate the rook, but white is a piece down, so it's already the end. Also, the funny thing that at some, like I can just exchange the queens. For example, if queen g4, then bishop h6 check, and then queen g6. Here, the same story. Yeah, of course, like maybe I could play for some kind of checkmate, but the easiest way, of course, to exchange the queens. I was close to pre-move this, but then I realized that white could play f4. Let's play c4, threatening rook d1, rook c1 checkmate. Hello, I'm not sure if I'm number one. Also it is about like, you know, you need to play regularly, and otherwise you would miss your spot. But yeah, with 2874, at least right now, I would be number one. f5 was just about cutting off his rook, and actually his rook is stuck on g2. Maybe next move I would play bishop f4 so the rook wouldn't have a single move. You're not a strong GM. Yes, I'm not a strong GM. I'm a very strong GM, I would say. 2400, do you mean in like blades rapid over the board OTB, or like what, offline, online? Sorry, I don't play with viewers. I mean, the point is not to play with viewers today. The point is just play some rapid 10 plus or against anybody. If there will be no if there will be no opponent for me, I will pick any challenge. I mean, not any challenge, but the highest rated challenge, 10 plus or. So far, you see, like 3 games. I have played 3 games, and in all 3 games, um, my opponents didn't develop their pieces, or they didn't develop all of them, or they, let's say, they could have developed a piece, but instead of doing that, they did something else. They moved one more piece, and then like again and again. Somehow nobody to accept my open challenge. Maybe let me check. Let me check how many games. I probably need. Oh, I need to play a lot of rapid games to get back on the list. It's, I don't know what formula they use, but I need to play a lot of rated games to get back on the list to become number 1 in the rated section. Okay, let's play. About World Cup, I think Erigaisi might win the tournament, and actually he got a strong pairing against against Aronian, and Aronian actually, if Aronian passes Erigaisi, then maybe Aronian would be a favorite. So let's go for an open for a change French defense. And it would be interesting to see, I think it would be interesting to see Erigaisi in candidates. And so for now, we just develop our pieces. Yeah, just remind you guys that I'm a little bit sick. That's why my voice is like that. Knight c6 is actually one of the best moves against this setup. So it's already not a good sign. It is a sign that my opponent maybe knows something. Maybe, of course, like maybe knight c6 was played accidentally. Like quite soon we will figure that out if it was played accidentally, or like my opponent let's say could play some decent chess. And so like this is what the course is about, Megalodon. Yeah, so first we develop, then we know which side of the board we play. And I think for most players under, let's say, 1700, 1800, that would be good enough to get to 17, 1800. And then the second part is about, not the second part, but next two things are about improvement and advancement. So when we improve, how we improve, when we advance, and how we advance. So far, you see, like not much interesting. I have developed all of my minor pieces. I have castled, so it's already like I have. Oh, hey! This was, of course, accidentally. Like I wanted, like sometimes when I mark something like this, then I press on an empty square, so removing arrows. But the funny thing is here I accidentally touched the king first, because actually here I know here after knight d7 maybe bishop f7 or queen b3 would be simply winning for me. Yeah, here of course like queen b3 would be an easy win for me. The game would be over. But unfortunately I accidentally touched my king. That's the point. So let's play queen b3 right now, forcing his rook to move back to f8. Yeah, like a sad story. A sad story. I would be winning. I would be winning right away. Now I have to play. So maybe knight f5 is common, maybe not really. How about bishop g5? Like at least using some, like maybe making king h1 useful, so I would never be like faced with bishop h2 check. Because for example knight f5, knight d5, and here black maybe would have bishop takes h2 check, but now like it wouldn't be a problem for me. So if I play knight e4, there is bishop e7, so that's why let's play knight d5. What do I think about youngster Yegiz Khan Erdogmuz? Do you think he has potential to be future world champion? Here I have nothing to say. I haven't really studied any of his games. Like maybe I saw by maybe I accidentally saw some of his games, but I didn't do that on purpose. So I have nothing to say about him, about his style. I have no idea. About Grebnov, I like there is a funny story about Grebnov. I also don't really follow him closely, but it was one story. I don't remember what year it was, like maybe something like 2018 or 2019, maybe even 2020 or 2020 or 2021. Not sure. Like something like 5 6 years ago, I played a rapid tournament in Russia, and in round one I got paired against Gribnov, and he was just like, since it was round one, it obviously I was the favorite, and I saw his rating was something like, I didn't even see what his rating was, but obviously he was something like maybe 2000 or 2100 or something like that. Um, Meanwhile, maybe it makes sense to attack the queen, so the queen has to defend two pieces, to like one pawn and the knight. Yeah, and so I played black against him, and I played like I thought I played against a weak player, like compared to me. And I was playing, but he was holding, and I was like, what is this? Why this guy doesn't doesn't collapse? And eventually I beat him, but I was kind of forced to go for some tricks, and I went for some risky decision. Eventually I won the game, and only later I found out that he was actually 2400 in classical chess, and his rapid was just too low. So I did my job. Now my target is his king. Not exactly, not necessarily his king only, but yeah, his king is weak. But I still will develop my rooks. Okay, I'm gonna go to take some water. Oops. And also, I know that he has good opening preparation. I remember, like, I saw him playing in 2022 in Russian Championship, and he had a, like, let's say, a deep opening preparation. But I think that was the only time I have played against him. So what could I do here? I have knight c7, which is interesting, but doesn't look right. The knight will get stuck there. Knight should go to d6, of course, but that is a pawn sacrifice, or maybe I have a better way to... I could play knight c7, rook b8, then d5. That's interesting, actually. That's actually quite interesting. Let's go for that one. I don't know, Ivtikar or Elftikar, thank you. Any course about dynamic chess? For dynamic chess, yes, it's hard to suggest something. Unfortunately, here there are no tricks like. Actually, there is one trick, there is knight e8. But knight d5 doesn't work. Knight e6 also doesn't work because the rook will be defended. But there is knight e8. Which is a funny one. Like a safe way, d5. d5 is pretty good. I think d5 gives let's say a solid advantage to me. Knight e8 is about grabbing material. Let's say knight e8, threatening two things at the same time. I think should be fine for me. It's for sure that I win material. And the only question, if black gets any compensation, any counterplay. But I think not really. There is no discovery attack, since the rook is not defended. This was not really necessary, but why not to develop the rook? Now let's grab the pawn on a7. Why not? Maybe having a small threat, not really a threat, but a nice idea of rook e8. Okay, the guy played knight e5, avoiding that. f4, I don't really want to give him a chance, so let's just play queen a4. Queen a4, offering to exchange the queens. If he takes on b2, my queen goes to the king side, attacking the pawn. And like rook e3, rook g3 is coming. So obviously white is winning. This is like, okay, not a big deal, but yeah, I cannot take the pawn. But let's go for queen b4, taking the pawn on b6. King g7 was the only move not to lose the queen. Unfortunately, after rook b1 there is e2 square, but queen b6 is good enough. Also, he is worse on time, so it's already like black could resign. And if I play queen h4, then we have another circle of that story. Let's play queen f4. Let's play one more game. This will be the last game. Scan Kurba. Thank you. Unfortunately, not today. Yeah, let's play one more game. Then I'm not really sure if I'm gonna really analyze the games. Yeah, because my throat is getting worse, as you can hear that, and that's why I will just finish after this game. This time I think I'm not gonna go for d4 because who knows, maybe the guy came prepared, maybe he was waiting that for whole stream. So this time let's go for bishop d3. White's plan is simple: castle on short, bishop c2 and d4, fighting for the center. You see, so far I have played 4 games, and it wasn't about showing something incredible. It was about just developing pieces. Of course, you might say I am a grandmaster, so that's why it's easy for me to do that. Yes, you're kind of right, and you might say that, yeah, this is the reason why I didn't castle, because who knows, like I thought like g5 might be annoying, so let's go for d4 now. A standard, very standard reaction to a side attack. Yeah, so even like if you play against a stronger opponent, then simply try to develop your pieces. You will last longer in this case. Yes. If you don't develop your pieces, you most likely you lose a game in like quite fast, probably. Could I go for d5? Takes, takes. Doesn't look great, honestly saying. H4 also looks a bit suspicious, but let's go for h takes g4. Now the pawn is hanging, so it's either I go for d5, d5 for bishop e3. If d5, then knight d4 is annoying. Bishop e3 might be an option, maybe not even a terrible one, because if he takes, I take. If he takes, queen takes d4. d5, knight e5, probably, or maybe d5. I'm not sure that it is the best move, but let's go for bishop e3. Shouldn't be bad, I would say. Once again, I have developed a piece. Yeah, d5, I also thought about this move because you see otherwise white has a very pleasant position like knight c3. Even if he goes for e4, bishop d4, knight d4, queen d4, I'm still more solid because black couldn't castle short. d5 is going for something, let's say for something. Could I go for d5? That was my plan, at least, to go for d5. Or like knight c3 probably doesn't really work because of this, then e d4. Knight c3, d4, knight d4, e d4. Looks too complicated. Let's take on e5. However, maybe it's not the best move because now knight e5 is coming. Maybe somehow it was a bad idea. And I would also say that overall the position itself is quite complex, so it's not easy to play it. Let's just follow our general strategy and develop a knight. Both kings are in the center, so of course the position is complex. And let's say like sometimes like the more crazy position is, let's say then it's less likely you go just for some ordinary move. Maybe you go for something more complex. Like I would like maybe there is a better move, but let's go for something more clear, even if that clear is not so great for me. But at least I don't think I'm worse there. I have no idea what the guy is thinking about. What else to do? Yeah, here I also don't really have a choice. I need to go for queen takes d8. And here it is a good question. Should I go for knight g5, which looks a little bit more active, or maybe knight d2 is good enough? I thought I would go for knight d2. I don't know which one is better, but that was my point. my idea. Vienna Treasure, thank you for your question. Um, the difference is that the first course is easier. It is about just like the way we choose a move. Like for example, we look for opponent's threats, we look for our forcing moves, then we look for some development or improvement and so on. The second course is more complex. It is about like some specific situations, like something. Let's say it is for, if the first course is for, I think, anybody from 1400 up to 2000, then the second course is at least from like maybe 1700, something like that. Yeah, so obviously my point about this position was that I have like maybe a better pawn structure. F5 looks reasonable. I should go for knight f6, and most likely, not most likely, but maybe the game will end in a draw, because after, let's say, I take on g4, then there might be some piece exchanges, and that's it. Knight h7. No, knight h7 looks risky as something like king g7. My rook is not defended, so I should take on g4. And unfortunately here it seems like simply there is not enough, like there might be not enough material to play for a win for white. But my plan was like to go hard and take the pawn on a7. Because, actually that was my plan in case of knight g4. Knight g4, then I would take the pawn on a7. After this move, I need to think if I still do the same, or I maybe I castle, or maybe I play king e2. Yeah, the only thing I would mention about my first and second courses is that if you go for a video version, then like listening me now, you might be surprised. So you better check the video first, like the what they call it, like starting video or the video about the course, because let's say my English like 2-3 years ago, it was worse. Like it was way stronger Russian accent, I would say. So here the position is quite interesting. Yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy who made the opening prep book, if you mean my book. So if I take on a7, then maybe knight d3 check, king f1, knight b2. I move my knight somewhere. And if I start with castle, then let's say if he does the same, then it would probably be a better version for me. Then why did you buy it if it's like it was probably, I mean, probably it was possible to suggest if that was too advanced or not for your level. Sorry to hear that. Maybe the rook was more useful on the h file, and I could have, like, maybe I could have played king e2, But you see at the same time the D and E files are open, so I wasn't so sure about that. No, the book is, I would say the book is for, let's say, for 18, 1900, and especially if the guys play one D4 or one C4, but of course not for one E4 players. For one E4 players, the book is less interesting, I would say. Actually, the book I don't really care about because I haven't received almost, like, I haven't received a very small amount of money for the book, like around $2,000, and that's it. And I think my publisher is just simply lying to me. And also, he honestly said, like, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, he said that unfortunately I cannot transfer money to you because it is like there are restrictions for banks in Europe to transfer money to accounts, to Russian accounts. But he's lying because I have a student who is able to transfer money to me. Um, so I'm still happy that sometimes I get a good feedback on the book. You can, if you like, if you really want that. Now black is in trouble, I think. The king is in trouble. Um, the g4 pawn might be an issue for black as well. I'm also attacking the pawn on a7. Unfortunately, I had no time to play rook h1, threatening king g1 or king g3 checkmate. Okay, anyway, it wouldn't be a checkmate because rook d4 was a threat. Let's say the book is more about, like, yes, I give some lines with white, but overall it's more about a funny trick, rook f1, then rook takes d4. I still can take it. Maybe king g1 would be better. Now what do I do? Do I go for these, king f5, rook h5, king goes here. Not sure I'm doing it in the best possible way. Not sure about that at all. But let's do this. So now at least he cannot go for king e4 because of bishop takes e3. I blundered one move by the guy. Let's see if he will find it. I'm still probably better in the rook endgame, but like okay, in the end I'm gonna flag him. Yeah, this is the move, that's right. But actually I have rook h5 here probably to start with. Let's see what happens next. Obviously if bishop takes, there is rook d3. Maybe I just needed to take on c3, then king h4 and take the pawn on a7. Because now I will simply have to flag the guy instead of outplaying him in a normal way. Or maybe he will flag me. Who knows? At some point I think it was quite winning for me. Scan Kurba, I would totally disagree with you. My style is positional, like very positional play, and only if there is a need I could go for something else. And let's briefly look at the game. So game one, my opponent decided not to go for complications after knight e4, and I had a pleasant position. Yeah, bishop e3 was pretty good. Yeah, and here maybe rook d1 would be a better move because of knight b4 or knight b5. You see, sharp style, I don't see knight b5 moves. Bishop g5 was better way, rook d4 was not so great actually, but bishop d3 here, but knight d4 is also okay. Here almost nothing for me, interestingly. And after rook e8 it would be even worse for me. But now it was already better for me. So like not really great first game. Somehow I spoiled some advantage. Game two. Game two, as you remember, my bishop e2, like the engine suggested, but I think castle and short would have been better for white. And here c3 is wasting of time. Knight b5 is, oh, and it's not a blunder. I saw knight b7. What is the point? Knight d4. Interesting. Not obvious, not so obvious. Let's say knight b7, and knight d4. So now if knight d4, then queen d3, and I have no way to defend two pieces. And I even have knight c5. I know knight c5, then anyway, queen d4. Yeah, so here I was just material up. Then next game, yeah, here knight d5 was already not so good, but okay, because I could have played g5. And after knight bd7, simply as I told you guys, bishop d3, but instead knight d3 was played, so for some reason wasting white's time. And here here black is already better. However, after knight g4, let's see, probably g5. Looks like g5 doesn't work. I saw knight h6, but I thought should be good enough for me. So knight g5 should be the move. Queen b6, not h takes g5, bishop g5. This one doesn't work. Knight h6. Yeah, so it would be okay for my opponent. Interesting. And this game, yeah, this game here, as you remember, I accidentally touched my king and pressed king h1. Queen b3 would be simply winning. And once again, like you see, knight e7 is a second move by a developed piece. And bishop g5, knight d5, takes, knight c3, knight b5 takes, queen g3, keeping the queens on the board, not allowing a6 or c6. And knight d8 is the best move. d5 would also be possible. And the last game was the most challenging game, because here, yeah, so actually I could have played almost anything. Bishop e3 is still okay. d5, king f1. This is too smart. Once again, king f1. Yeah, and here it is an equal position. Probably this is funny. This is funny. But okay. Like, anyway, the point was not to get to the leaderboard. H2. Yeah, maybe here knight d2 was a good idea. Knight d2, knight b3, going for the rook endgame. And here I got a small chance. Here it was getting better, but still, actually, you see, black knight f1 was found, which is not really an obvious move, I would say. And I had almost nothing. I also blundered knight takes e3. Here probably already bishop takes e3 would have been the best move, and simply going for like taking that pawn and hoping to grab the pawn on g4. And yeah, so this game should have ended in a draw. Yeah, so my rapid rating has increased, but now it's like I need rating deviation lower than 75 to get to the leaderboard. Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Probably I'm gonna stream tomorrow, but tomorrow it will be more specific about like something related to my preparation for the World Rapid and Blitz in December, in the end of December. So not something for everybody, let's say, but still most likely I will be here. The only thing, yes, if I'm not getting worse with my throat. And maybe I'm gonna have more things like this, more streams like this, but we'll see. Like, you know, you never know. Okay, good guys. Yeah, see you later.